For the last year, we've not only been building a home out of shipping containers in the middle of the woods, but we've been restoring our current home, this cabin located on a nearby lake. Constructed with cedar beams, this timber frame home had incredible bones. It just needed a little TLC. In the year it's been since we purchased it, we've tackled project after project with the goal of restoring it rather than a full-scale renovation. But being situated in such an idyllic location, we just had to add a few luxury amenities along the way. Today, we're inviting you in for the full tour of our renovated cabin. You can join us every Wednesday and Sunday for a brand new episode. Make sure you give this one a thumbs up and come inside.
Hey, come on in.
Hi.
Come on, Eddie.
Hi.
Come on back in.
Who left this stick here? Is that your stick? 3 golden retrievers, not a bad greeting.
Yeah, you can tell I got a thing for blondes. So when we first moved in, all the walls were a dark color. In this room, it was green, like a forest green, and it just made this space feel really small and dark and closed in. So we chose to go with an off-white throughout the house to really make it feel a lot bigger, brighter, and more welcoming. So in the front entrance, we have a mirror, and we put a shelf here to put our keys and our dog hooks. And on this side, we have this really cool bench we found. It just kind of goes with the green tile that was here, and it gives us a comfortable place to put our shoes on and off. And it leads into the kitchen, which I absolutely love this kitchen. I think it's because we haven't had a kitchen for 5 years before moving here, so it just feels so amazing to cook in this space. We updated the kitchen simply by changing out the countertops and putting new knobs on the cabinets. These are cherry wood cabinets, which are original to the house, and I think they just are amazing. So we just used a little bit of Murphy's oil and cleaned them up, and it looks so much better in here. The countertop we went with is a concrete looking quartz countertop. So we got the look of the concrete countertop without having to do the work or the maintenance of a porous countertop. We also updated the kitchen by changing out the appliances. The ones that we had were really inefficient and old. So we went with the cafe appliances because we felt it really plays with the cottage cabin look that we were trying to get. So over in this corner, we set it up kind of like a little coffee bar. Tyler needs a coffee first thing in the morning before he can do anything. So we have it right next to our prep sink. Because we take our water from the lake, we have an RO system here to, clean out any bad stuff. So that's right there for us to fill the coffee machine. It kind of works out well because then we have it tied into the fridge. So we have our ice maker and we can get water out of the fridge as well if you want a cold glass. For the fridge, we went with this one because we love the versatility of the 2 drawers on the bottom. So the bottom one is always a freezer. We've got our big fridge up here, but then this middle one, we're able to change between fridge or freezer depending on what we're doing. So if we're having people over, we'll put it in fridge mode for everyone to put their drinks in there. But sometimes if we've been to Costco, we need to turn it into a freezer mode so we can have a place to put everything. The dishwasher was an absolute nightmare to install. We had to do it like 3 or 4 times because it just kept leaking. But now that it's working, I love it. We went for 6 years without a dishwasher, washing every single thing by hand. And I know there's people that do that for their whole life. My grandmother does not want a dishwasher.
Good for them. Shout out to them.
Yeah, but like at the end of the day, after doing all the manual projects we do, the last thing I want to do is wash my cup. And for the range, we went with a dual oven because most of the time it's just us. So we only use the top oven because it's smaller, it's less to heat and less electricity. But when we do have people over for a big meal or multiple things going, it's nice to have the big oven down below, and we can also do them at 2 different temperatures, which is pretty cool. For the sinks, we ended up using the same material as the countertop and building custom ones so that it really flows together and it's just a seamless, cohesive look in here.
It was such a good decision.
Oh yeah, I loved it. And we modernized the light that was over top of the sink. It's got an LED strip built into it, but it's wood, so it matches, the ceilings and the beams and everything in here.
Long term, we are going to replace this white strip here with a wood one to match this so it fully blends into the ceiling. But like we said, there's still some projects that we have that we want to tackle here. It's been a year plus everything with the container home, so
yeah, we did what we could.
We're gonna take the wins.
So coming over this way, we have our little pet cafe. Earl's dish stays on the counter because he is constantly at it. For some reason, he doesn't bother the boys' dishes, so they're here, but they all eat together. We've got their water fountain here. And then we left the cabinet in the corner. I know there were some people that were like, you should take that out, but it adds a lot of storage. Underneath we have all of those weird appliances, our Instapot and our hand mixer and, you know, cookie cutters, all that stuff is in there. And then it gives us a place to put all of our wine glasses and our alcohol and Tyler's cameras. You might be asking why there's so many wine glasses too. We buy them in bulk because they never last because they break. For the table, we replaced it with kind of a mid-century modern style. That's kind of the vibe we were trying to accomplish in here, like a 70s cabin with a modern flair. The table is expandable. It's one of those butterfly tables, so you can pull the two sides apart, and then the leaf is actually inside of it, so it flips up and out, and then we've got a big space that we can easily fit 6 or 8 people here. And this leads into the office, which I think is probably the most productive space we've ever had to work in. It's just completely surrounded by windows and glass. And even though it's a whole separate room and off of the living space, it feels so connected because when you're in here, you can still hear what's going on. I love it. One thing though, this room does get cold, so there's a propane fireplace that was here when we moved in. We had to clean it out because it was filled with hornets, which I didn't know was a thing, but apparently they're attracted to propane. So once that goes on, it does heat this room up comfortable to work in, and then we just turn it off so that we're not wasting propane when we don't need to. But we've got this big desk here that usually Tyler uses for editing, and I've got my desk over in the corner, but sometimes if I'm doing, you know, admin work and I want to spread out, I'll take over the desk and have a nice big working space here. What's really cool is the desk is adjustable, so if you want to stand, if you want to sit, you can just raise or lower the desk, and I guess it's called ergonomics. Like, it's really important, and it makes it so much easier to get work done here. And then we've got a chair for usually me to sit in and talk to Tyler when he's trying to edit. And then we've got my desk here, which is really good. Like, it's great for me to work at, and I've got all my storage, and I actually love it because I get to just look off into the lake and, you know, get distracted. Coming out of the office, we come into the living room, which is what sealed the deal when we saw this place for the first time. I just don't know how you could ever unsee a ceiling like this. It's so pretty in here, but it was hidden with the dark green paint, so it made the wood kind of blend in more. Going with this off-white really makes the cedar pop, I find. But we were able to bring the color green back in by having this massive couch here, which is so cool the way it works. It's completely modular, so if we want to change the configuration, we can just unscrew it and move it around. But it's also great because we can all fit on it, stretch out, go to sleep, and no one's bothering anyone. When we first moved in though, we were having trouble figuring out how to put the furniture in the room because there wasn't really a focal point. I mean, there's the window, but then you were left with this weird space on the other side. So we decided to put in a wood stove in that corner. The family that had this cabin before us, they only used it for a few weeks in the summer, so there was never really a point to invest in putting one in. However, because we're here in the winter, we want to use that for our heat instead of the electric heat that we have. And it does so well at heating this space up. It actually cooks people out of the loft upstairs. But it should be better this year because we have the ceiling fan. So when we moved in, it just had a regular residential fan, but it turns out there's a whole science to ceiling fans and the size the blades need to be versus how far off the floor. So we went through the work of swapping out the fan with the proper one. This is a massive fan. It's a little over 6 feet in diameter across, but when it gets going, it really pushes that hot air back down, or in the summer, it pulls the hot air up and gets things moving, so we don't need to run the air conditioner here.
What a job it was to install though.
Oh my God. It was like such a nightmare. There was so much scaffolding, and it's like 22 feet up there to the junction box. Like, it was wild. But all in, I love the way this turned out. I really also think that our TV stand fits in here so nicely. It's made to look like an old art easel. So it's on wheels, and if we want to watch TV, we just roll it out. It fits with the space so nicely, I think. As cool as the TV stand is, honestly, nothing beats this view and the sunset. It's really cool. We're able to just sit down. We face perfectly south, so we get a sunrise in the morning and a sunset in the evening, and we get to enjoy it with our little man. Hey.
He's so sweet.
So sweet. Hey. Little Earl. Little Earl.
He's just the sweetest, hey?
We're going back to work soon.
I know. We gotta continue on with the tour, buddy.
Gotta finish the tour.
Maybe he can come with me for a bit. So coming this way, we're gonna go upstairs first. I love these stairs. The open concept, it's just the vibe. So when you come up these stairs, it leads to a loft. This was actually one of the first things that we renovated in the space. That way, whenever we have guests over, they were really comfortable. However, we still have a little bit of work left to do. If you look up, the ceilings, they're not fully painted, and that's because the scaffolding that we have doesn't allow us to get up that tall. So that's still sort of a work in progress to figure out. All we did really in this space was paint it and put in really nice furniture. So I love all of the wood tones. I think it just goes with the cabin feel so well. We also replaced the ceiling fan to allow for winter and summer circulation. And this might be one of my favorite spots in the house. We just filled it with plants. It's so cozy. And then coming in here, this is the guest bathroom. So we didn't want to spend a lot of money in this space. What we decided to do was very DIY. In order to make over the shower, it was so much work. We had to take off all of the doors. We had to grind them down, wash it with TSP. It took a lot of prep in order for the paint to adhere properly. I made an oopsie doopsie.
What's the, couple oopsie whoopsie.
Couple of poopsie whoopsies. But it really worked out. It would have been thousands of dollars to replace that shower, and we did it for under $100. Highly recommend. In addition to that, rather than ripping up the tile, we actually painted them. So I painted this base coat on and then used stencils to make a design over top. It turned out like real tile. It was just so worth it, don't you think?
Oh yeah, it looks so good.
We also replaced these countertops and we put in one of those key slot sinks. So basically what this does is when you turn it on, the water goes down the hole perfectly and it allows you to have way more counter space. I love it. I would not go back to a regular sink.
It did take a little bit to get used to sitting on the counter.
Yeah, that took a little while, but we got there. And I know that this big makeup stand sort of thing does take up a lot of space in the room, but it's so much storage. We decided keeping it seemed like a great decision. You're doing good, buddy. A few days ago, he was so scared of the stairs, but he's doing really well now.
Yeah, he's in that stage where he's growing every day.
Yeah. So in here, we have the laundry room. This space looked completely different when we bought the cabin. I think that we've completely transformed this space. Huge shout out to Dumpy for building this cabinetry. He was able to match the cabinetry exactly to the kitchen and all of the vanities in the bathrooms, and it just turned out so perfect. So we completely reconfigured the layout in order to maximize the space, creating this whole wall for laundry as well as this big sink. It's a lot more space. So coming this way, this is our bedroom. This space was one of the last spaces that we renovated. So this room, like all of the other rooms, started with 3 coats of paint. But finally, once the room was really bright, we got to work on these blinds. I love how they turned out. Also, all of the light fixtures throughout the whole cabin, they have this concrete and wood look just to match the countertops and all the wood beams everywhere. For the furniture, we wanted to go with that mid-century modern look again, and I really love how it turned out. It is such a cozy, just like sanctuary space for us now. We spend a lot of time in here just watching TV, laying in bed. We have plans to eventually mount this on the wall and build like a frame to go around it, but that's a project for another day.
It's always nice to have something on the to-do list.
Yeah. Coming in this way is the bathroom. It is still very dated and there is a lot of work left that needs to happen with it, but it's functional for right now. And to be honest, we got really busy this summer with our other project that we have on the go, and because everything works right now, we'll tackle it when we tackle it. Maybe this winter it'll give us something to do. So yeah, it has a lot of function though. Like that tub is in really good shape. It's just the surround is dated. Plus, just think where we started. This tub is a huge upgrade. Do you feel good?
I feel cheap.
with a new toilet, and maybe we'll do what we did upstairs to the tile and the shower, I think that it would breathe a lot of life back into this space, and why spend money if we don't need to? So
Yeah, that's one thing about the cabin. It has really good bones.
yeah, the bones of it are just unreal. So
Yeah.
all in time.
Exactly. All right, let's go show the basement.
Let's do it. Earl's doing so good on the stairs, aren't you, buddy? So we would have been just as happy having the cabin on the main floor and the upstairs. That's already so much space, but we have this entire basement area as well. It's really a lot of space.
Yeah, so we haven't done too much with it down here because there are some issues. So you might remember when we moved in a week after, we had some flooding, so we had to take all the floors up. And then on the outside, we need to replace the exterior, and the sill plate, which is where the house meets the foundation, is rotted. So next year we probably have to cut open the drywall to do that repair. So we just made do with the furniture that we have from our old house and made like a cozy little movie room down here, which turned out really nice. So we've got a wine fridge and a table for, you know, just kind of hanging out. Sometimes I'll build my Lego over here. And then we've got the boys' toys and our blanket basket. There's one in every room because you never know when you want a blanket. Got the chair and our TV. So above the TV, we installed a heat pump. The house when we moved in just had central heating, which is like one set of ductwork that goes through the whole house. So if we were heating or cooling upstairs, that meant we were heating or cooling down here as well through these vents in the ceiling. So we added a little heat pump so that we can, you know, just turn heat on down here without heating all the way upstairs. But what's really good about it is because this is a basement and we're so close to a lake, we used this as a dehumidifier, and it took all that moisture out of here without having to run the really noisy one over in the corner. Over here, this is Squirrel, our cat's corner. So she's got her little kitty tower in there, and it's hidden behind the trees so she can like hide out if she wants to be alone. And then we've got a big comfortable couch that all of us can fit on. And what's really cool is if we have people over, these end tables actually flip over and they become an additional seat on each side. So there's so much seating room down here.
It's super handy, and Todd was just speaking of his Lego. This is all of the Lego that he's been building. He has it kind of set out on display.
Well, I have a few more in storage because I need to get another shelf, but I really enjoy building Lego. I find it something mindless and almost therapeutic because there are instructions and things always turn out right, unlike most things in life, which is kind of a nice little escape for me.
And most of our projects, if you remember when we tried to tackle the renovation down here, it did not go well. Is the floor level?
I have no clue. Have you tested it?
No.
On level here. Quite
So this is a win for now. We'll continue tackling the basement. Probably this winter. Like, you can obviously tell the flooring, it's just bare concrete, but we'll get to it when we get to it.
But more about the Legos. Like, I've got my Home Alone one here and my Nintendo one and the Hocus Pocus house. Over here, these are my friends' shelves. So we've got Joey and Chandler's apartment, Rachel and Monica's, and then we've got Central Perk. And then down at the bottom, I've got the White House and the very first Lego I ever built, which is the RV, which I built when we were still living in the RV, which is kind of cool. So, coming this way, we've got Ty's guitar so that he can serenade me while I build my Legos. And then this is the furnace room. So it was just concrete and unfinished wood when we first moved in, and it just felt dark and dingy in here. So I put up some wallpaper, hung all of our cleaning, like brooms and vacuum and everything, painted the floor, and then I painted all the framing in here as well as the backside of the drywall, and it just made it so much brighter. And we also put another light down here so that there's light all the way through, but we've got like all of our hosting stuff, we've got our seasonal clothing, we've got the bedding so the couch upstairs can turn into a bed. More importantly, we've got our wine storage in here where it's nice and chilled.
Having the floor painted and the walls bright, like, it just changed the space completely. Like Todd said, it was just dark and dingy and there were a lot of bugs. It made a big difference. I don't know why.
Well, it's also easier to keep clean because when the wood wasn't painted, it was rough and the floor was rough. So now I find things just kind of dust a lot easier.
Totally. When you come out here, we have the basement bedroom.
So this room is, again, another really big room. We fit a king bed in here, believe it or not.
So much like the bedroom out there, we don't want to be heating this bedroom constantly. So what we did is put in this little ceramic infrared heater. So when we have guests come over and if it's chilly down here, they can just turn that on.
We figured it was nicer than telling them to bring ski gear to sleep in.
Yeah, it can definitely get cold in this room, but these vents, I really don't find that they work very well, so.
No, and also like when we're using the wood stove, that's how we heat the upstairs. So then the thermostat is up there, so there's no way to turn the heat on down here when we have the wood stove going.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And then we've got lamps, and we've got little squirrel. Hi, is this your bedroom now? Are you taking dibs on this one? She kind of has every bed.
Every bed. And then over here in this closet, we haven't finished this space yet. We're just using it to store all of our winter clothes. We've got our printer, some boring office supplies, and that's basically it.
Yeah, I think it turned out cute though. Like it's just a nice little room.
Yeah.
It's got some sun coming in because the window faces east, so if someone is sleeping down here, they get a nice like sunrise to wake up to.
And again, like we said with the floor, it's not finished, but it's as finished as it's going to be for now.
Yeah.
It's a big difference from when we moved in. So.
Yeah. As much work as we've done inside, we've done just as much outside with the landscaping, from the fire pit area to the beach area to the lawn. There's been so much work done outside because with a property like this, it's all about being outside, from the water to the trails. And a few months ago, we picked up these e-bikes from Electric, the sponsor of today's video, to make getting around on all the ATV trails even easier, considering we don't have an ATV. We both ended up going with the XP 3.0 for a couple of reasons. One, this is designed with rider comfort in mind, from the super comfortable seats with springs on it so that you're not feeling all those bumps, to also the portability of it. You can fold these in half so you can throw them in the back of the truck or into a car and take them on your adventure wherever you want to go. Using the bike is so easy. You can control it with two different ways. So on this side, you have the buttons to choose to put it up and down. What that does is as you're pedaling, it kicks in the electric motor to give you a bit more of a push. Or you can just ride it like a dirt bike and use the throttle on this side and just twist it and you're good to go. Put your feet up and just enjoy the view.
I like that mode on hills the best.
You like that mode when it's flat too.
True.
Each battery goes up to 65 miles per charge. That's wild. Electric is having some pretty awesome sales right now, so make sure you use the QR code here to check them out, because there's never been a better time to buy an e-bike. But let's keep going with the tour and move on to the bunkie. It is a dumping ground, but we did redo the back of it into a nice seating area. And to give you a bit of an update, when you all voted a few months ago on whether or not we should redo the inside, you and I won, Tyler lost. We are going to redo the bunkie and make it into the ultimate place for our guests to stay when they're here. That way, if we've got more people over, then we have beds inside. We've got more room to put them.
Spring 2025.
So let's show the seating area. So when you come back this way, we ended up putting this trail in here, and then this is how we drain all of our runoff from the driveway and the lawn through here, through these culverts we put in. And this is the seating area. We come back here and have our morning coffees, and then we've got our little hammock there. And from here, we can take the trail out to the lawn, or we can take the trail over to the axe throwing. I love having trails and shortcuts across the property. So the trail actually goes this way to the front part of the lawn, or you can circle over to the beach. And when you come here, we've got the axe throwing. This was actually a really fun project to do. Tyler wasn't feeling well, so I just got to work on building this with some leftover deck boards that were here from the previous owners, and
It's a lot of fun.
yeah, it is a lot of fun. When we have friends over, we just, throw axes, throw knives, because what could go wrong?
Why not?
And then when you come down this way, it's the access to the beach. It is just breathtaking being down here. I love it so much.
So pretty.
We bring the boys down all the time and they just go swimming, and we've got our little chairs there that we can sit and watch them, and we store our kayaks here so we can just go out paddling. It's pretty cool.
Such a beautiful view.
Yeah, and then when you come this way, we're back on to another trail, which takes us back over to the lawn. Eventually, we want to put some solar in here to offset the electrical cost, but again, that's a project for another year.
There's only so many weeks in the year.
Yeah, I know. I wish there was more, because then I could still get stuff done without being a year older. And we're back at the lawn. So we put in these gardens all along here to stop the erosion. The goal is that these plants will root and hold the bank back more because we were losing some of it. In the winter, we get really big ice sheets that come in here when the ice lets go on the lake. And our lawn makeover needs another makeover.
Needs some work.
What happened was we're on a hill and then it rained and the seed actually washed into all the gardens. So the gardens are now more grass than this area is.
Like Todd said, the grass does need a lot of work, but we put some seed down with the hopes that in the spring, everything will come up. We'll see how that goes.
Time will tell.
This area here turned out so beautiful. It's one of my favorite areas to spend time. We've got a fire pit here and then 6 chairs. So when we have guests over, there's lots of space for everyone. And then on top of that, this seating area down there has 4 more chairs. So if it's a really big group of people, we can bring them up and then all just sit around the fire. I mean, look at the view. Like it's so beautiful. We spend a lot of evenings out here. Todd had a really good idea as well to cut in a trail on this bank. So this wasn't here before. So when you come down this way, it makes it so it's accessible. So people that have mobility issues, kids, all of that.
Wheelie coolers.
Yeah, wheelie coolers. Yeah, let's be real. They can come down this way. But what's even more convenient is when we eventually get a boat and we have to be bringing gas all the way out that dock, that's a long way to carry jerry cans. So Todd figured if we get a little wheelie one, we can bring it down here and then go straight out the dock.
That's the plan, because it is a long way. It's 310 feet all the way out there.
But before we take you out there, I want to show you this area first. So this was one of the first projects I think that we did this spring. It needed a lot of work. The whole deck underneath was rotted and it was just in a lot of disrepair. So Dumpy and us, we got to work. I think it turned out really nice. It's a great place to sit here and get completely out of the wind. I'm sure you can hear the wind. That's the thing, we're south facing and this time of year, the wind just cuts down the lake. It's a huge, huge lake. So there's not a lot we can do about that. Great in the summer, but pretty chilly in the fall and the winter. Do you want to go at the dock? So like Todd said, this is over 300 feet long. We knew that in order to put a dock in, we were gonna have to go out that far because the water here is very shallow. With lake properties, you kind of have like the pros and cons of both. Sometimes the water is really high and then that means that it could go into your house. We will never have that problem here. So we're pretty lucky in that sense, but we do have to go out pretty far in order to get boat access.
And the boys love it. They just run out and Charlie goes out so that he can, spy on the neighbors and take in what's going on the lake.
They can't get enough of it.
Yells at the boats if they're speeding too fast.
Hey, you slow down.
You slow down, mister. I could have been swimming.
So the type of decking material that we went with is a composite through flow material. And what that means is when it rains or when it snows, the water goes straight through it. And say a really big wave came, it can displace and the water goes through it so it doesn't blow away.
For the frame of the dock itself, it's an aluminum dock. So that means we'll never have to replace it. But also if something breaks, we can just weld it back together. We don't have to rebuild it.
So out at the end of the dock, I mean, look at this view. It is so gorgeous. And then when you look back, you can see just how far away. It's pretty wild.
Crazy.
But it was a necessary thing. We needed to have it in order, we didn't even get a boat, but next year.
Things take time.
Things take time, yeah. And there you go. That's the full tour of the cabin.
Let us know in the comments down below which was your favorite project, what you might have done differently, or what you think we should tackle next.
Just a reminder, our merch is on sale only for this weekend, so make sure you scan the QR code or click the link in the description box down below. Until Wednesday, we'll see you soon.
Bye.